Step 1, don't. Okay, so I got this video recommended to me a while ago. Can't remember who did it, but they asked, how do you determine whether you crown a character, right? What characters do you have crowned? But basically, nowadays, it's more of, whatever I feel like, right? I have a lot of the more important characters that you want crowned, and if I pull a new DPS, I'll triple crown them. Most characters don't need the crown, or you really shouldn't give them that crown. Like Raiden, let's look at this, and let's look at what I'm getting out of this. Basically nothing. Like, the small damage increase that I would get out of this is so insignificant. I just don't think I'll ever do this for the damage. I might do it just for flashiness, though.
Why are you the way that you are?
But basically, the main thing that you want out of your crowns is to buff your support characters. And then when you have more than 3, then you just throw them onto your main DPSs. But as support characters, I don't mean characters like Yelan. Characters like Yelan, while yes, they're good, I think that should be your secondary priority. But characters like Zhongli and Bennett and, Nahida, it depends. Are you running Hydro characters? Will it make your rotation way better? This really depends. Nahida's sort of in the same boat of Kazuha, where you could leave her at nothing, right? Stupid! Whereas if you leave Bennett at level 1, his talent isn't going to provide 119% bonus attack ratio, which I think gets increased by his constellation. And then if you leave Kujosara at level 1, it's not going to give you a 91%, bonus attack ratio, right? So that's a big thing that you should keep in mind. Like, these type of support characters, the one that are buffing your damage, Mika with his attack speed is also another thing that you might want to buff. Depending on what character you're using them with, people like to use them with Risley. Personally, I'm not probably going to do that. But if you do like using him with Risley, then hey, yeah, this is one of the characters that you probably should, increase their DPS for.
What?
I just, even a healer, right? I would probably prioritize that. If you're seriously struggling, like, level up your shield character, level up your healer, whatever character you're using. Like, even Goro is also another one of these support characters. Then I would say you could focus on either your main DPS or your sub DPSs. Preferably, you would put in, your crowns on your main DPS, but some sub DPSs, like I would say Yelan, get a decently big increase with their crown because they scale with something like HP percent, right?
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
So I consider this a sub DPS character that is off field doing damage. So this goes with the same with Xiangling, right? Kazuha also, because Kazuha, you don't need to level up these talents for his buff, and he also does decent damage just because of his EM swirls, right? Which are not dictated by the level of this. So basically, you want to level this up eventually because it does damage. It's basically free damage, but I would honestly say he doesn't really need to be leveled up. His talents are not as good as you would think unless you have a decent amount of crit rate onto your Kazuha, where you're also doing a decent amount of crit damage also. But I don't think that most people have that, so probably not the hugest thing. Compared, like Kazuha's damage to something like if I were to, go for a full 10-10-10 Risley, right? Risley would be that character where I'm getting a load of increases, right? So even this small increase, yeah, it's very small. This is actually a pretty small increase compared to, previous characters. Like if we go back and we look at Zhao, for example, if I were to crown my Zhao right now, I would get an extra 30% extra attack scaling here. But if I were to also level up this talent, it would also increase my damage by like 5% or something. I don't know.
You can't keep getting away with it!
The way I decided to give out crowns nowadays is just whoever I like, because at this point, I have the stockpile. But previously, I would legitimately just, previously I would just crown my, DPS Zhongli because he was the only character I ever needed, because he just killed the entire game. Yes, I'm not joking. If you didn't pull Zhongli when you were low adventure rank, then you missed out on DPS Zhongli, because this guy soloed bosses and I just completely crowned him. So yeah, I would say overall you go for your support characters, then your main DPS, then the sub DPSs like Yelan, Xingqiu, Xiangling, because realistically you know, Xingqiu is actually a great example of this. If you look at this scaling, this can be vaporized and its damage is nuts, and it goes up a lot because this is still like I still have some levels to go. Like, this is one of the more worth like talents for Xingqiu. Like, I would say it's probably better if you're on a team where you're consistently vaporizing his E skill, then it's probably better for you to level up this and crown it than it is for his rain swords, because I mean, look at the rain sword damage difference.
3 or 4 times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
So I just don't see the use in crowning this. However, this is absolutely insane, right? But that's just my personal opinion. I don't know the damage difference between a level 12 and a level 13 one of this, depending. But if you're on a team where you're constantly vaporizing this, yeah. But yeah, overall, just go for your, you know, supports first. That's the number one thing that you need to do when you decide for crowns. And honestly, because your supports are universal. Like, that's the number one thing. If I crown Zhongli for, like, Yoimiya, I don't, like, stop using Zhongli because I stopped using Yoimiya, right? That's not how that would work. If I stopped using Yoimiya and I put my crowns onto her, then I basically lost those crowns, right?
Voy a la playa, había subido la marea.
I mean, I triple crown my Yoimiya, which I do not recommend. Like, you should basically, you know, only crown these 2 talents, right? But don't even touch this one, honestly, because I don't use this. Like, your support characters are universal. They can be used with basically any characters. I can use Zhongli with every single one of these characters in my account, right? Zhongli is the most universal support character, you know, ever, right? You could use him with a DPS Venti, a support Venti, or whatever character you want, you can use Zhongli with. Bennett, not so much. Kazuha, not so much. And then Nahida, obviously, not so much. She probably is like the lower of all of that.
You're ugly. You're disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
So putting a crown into Zhongli's shield, I would say, is probably the most like beneficial crown you will ever spend. Like, it is actually just insane. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, found it very informative, and helps you decide who you want to crown if you're a new player, because realistically, only new players are really going to have this problem, because if you're a veteran, you know that you've already stockpiled all your crowns, honestly. They don't give out enough resources in order for us to spend our crowns, honestly. Like, it just doesn't happen. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.